Welcome to the Lock Shop with Nielsen and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Lock Shop. Nielsen and Hustler, as always, presented to you by Coolbet. If you have not yet signed up for an account at Coolbet, what are you waiting for? Go to coolbet.com. Use the bonus code LOCKSHOP, all one word. 100% deposit bonus on your initial deposit. Up to 200 smackaroos. Huss, what's up, buddy?
Well, Dusty, good to see you. Good to talk to you again. Not much is up, obviously. We don't have any home games right now. I don't know, but I guess the Oilers have a weekend off. Jets have.
They got one game, and that's it.
Yeah. We got to wait till next Thursday for a quick trip out to Detroit, and then a couple more postponed games. Fun last night. I was actually hoping that we might be able to just talk about this Jets potentially playing games in Saskatoon all day today on Winnipeg Sports Talk, as opposed to having to talk about last night's 7-1 loss to the Avalanche. But it doesn't look like that's happening. So, yeah, lots going on, but not enough when it comes to sports fans. Then, of course, this week is a very bizarre week in the National Football League. I went into this show going, you know what, I don't know if I'm down with this 17-week season. Let's start the playoffs right now. Although we all know how depressing that Monday is after the Super Bowl. So if that gets extended an extra week, I guess I'm here for it.
Hey, we got a lot of football to get to, but you mentioned the loss last night as Jets. Sorry to bring it up, but Colorado's good, right? Like, Colorado is leaps and bounds away the best team in the West, aren't they?
Well, I mean, they looked like it last night. I mean, the Jets actually had a nice first period. They got the first goal. It was 1-1, and then they just opened up the floodgates. Nate McKinnon had 3 goals going into last night's game. 3. I mean, I still had a hard time wrapping my head around that. He had a goal and 4 assists last night, so certainly did pad the stats. They're a really scary team. I mean, listen, if Darcy Kemper can hold up and net for them, they are going to be a problem for everybody else in the Western Conference last night. And you give them just a little bit, and they will take a mile, and they did it last night in the second and third period against Winnipeg. But as much as it was a tough, they got waxed. They ended up coming back 2-1 on this road trip. But again, now it's another week off, another week of practice under new head coach Dave Lowry before one game in Detroit, and then a little more time off, and then a legitimate 4-game road trip out east later on in the month. So we'll look forward to that. But yeah, I don't know. Like you, we're just trying to get through day by day. I can't believe we're back here where we are. I heard you guys talking about the draft coming up on the Nielsen show next week. And I mean, shit, dude, this is like deja vu. I mean, it's like we're back in March or April of 2020, starting all this BS all over again.
And we're almost in March of 2022. Like, it's crazy that it's been years, buddy. Like, it's just nuts. All right, so lots to get to on the NFL front. We're going to get to our best bets. We got our boosted partner Parlay. We got a good number on that today, actually. I think it's almost 5-1. So we'll get into that a little bit later on with Chris Abbott. He's going to pop by from Coolbet, obviously. CIRCA Millions contest. We can get to Georgia, Alabama maybe here right off the top. But first, let's do Georgia, Alabama. Then we'll get into some of those futures in the National Football League as well. So, let's dive into this thing. I think it's an interesting game. We're on different sides of this. And Huss, you got Georgia. You got the under. I'm probably staying away from the total. I'm going to be on Alabama money line. Make the case for Georgia. What are you thinking?
Well, listen, they get another crack at the bully on the block in the Alabama Crimson Tide. And, Georgia was the number 1 ranked team all year long until they weren't when they played Nick Saban's Alabama Crimson Tide. But the fact that they're able to get another shot against Bama, if you watch the game, the semifinal game against Michigan, who routed Ohio State, it came in with a lot of momentum. I mean, they just got absolutely manhandled by that Georgia defense. And you know what they say, defense wins championships. And I really do think that this is the time where Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs will be able to maybe not make some of the mistakes they did the first time against Alabama and win this football game. I think it should be an awesome game. I kind of mentioned that under 52 because I think both of these defenses are so good that points are going to be at a premium. And part of the reason why I went money line on this is that I think this could be an incredibly close game that could come down to the difference between a convert, a 2-point convert, potentially a field goal. The game was at 3 yesterday, like last night when I was sending the picks in. I see that it's 2.5 right now.
Yeah.
But listen, this is I don't pretend to be any sort of college football expert. I sort of kind of clue in at the end of the season, but I did watch quite a bit of this SEC this year. And this defense, I mean, it absolutely terrorized Michigan. They're going to be a handful for Bama. I think this is just be an awesome game right now. So, a little fun sprinkle on the Bulldogs going for the upset, and it's always fun, much like cheering and betting against the Patriots, which never does pay. Nick Saban is basically the Patriots of college football right now. So maybe this is wishful thinking, but I think Georgia has the defense to do it. And, they've learned their lessons. They get another crack at them, and I think they get it done on Monday night.
It's going to be a great game. I can't wait to watch it. I like you. I mean, I don't bet a lot on college football. We talked about that on the last episode. And I was sitting there this morning when I was looking at what I was going to do in this game, and I was like, 2.5 plus 2.5. Okay, maybe I'll do that. I went to try to buy it to 3, but I couldn't buy it to 3. I was like, give me that extra half point, and I couldn't do that. And then I just said, screw it. Like, if I'm on Alabama to keep it within 2, then I'm on Alabama to win the entire thing, right? Yeah. So I figure, how often are you going to actually get Saban and Alabama as a dog against a team they already beat last month rather comfortably? Like, it seemed like a number we'll never get again and probably haven't got recently. So I'm on Alabama to win it at plus 117 right now.
Yeah, it's actually up to plus 120 right now. And I don't think that's going to get any higher. I mean, if you do like Bama, I think this is probably a pretty good time to get in because, I mean, even with a lot of people thinking that maybe this will be Georgia's time, I mean, laying minus 147 for Georgia it's a bit of a nose holder if you're going to go do it. So I have a feeling this will probably come back to a little closer. And I don't know whether that 3 is going to be out again. It wasn't a great time to be looking at it if you wanted to bet Georgia last night with the 3-point line. So I think the public, will probably get on Bama. So I think this probably gets a little bit closer. Now's probably a great time to get the plus 120 on the money line if you're going that way. That being said, I am riding with the Bulldogs.
All right, so there you go. There's a couple of plays for the game on Monday. Lots of football, a couple games on Saturday, and obviously a full slate on Sunday in the National Football League. We'll get to our partner parlay with Chris Sabat. He'll be by in about 10 minutes time. But let's dive into our best bets for Week 18. And Huss, you said it. I mean, this is a weird week. You're trying to figure out who's got something to play for, who doesn't, how's this going to sort itself out, and there's been a few weeks that I've had a really hard time putting together, 2-3 bets that I absolutely love. I will say this was one of them, but we ended up getting to 6 different games that were on here. So let's dive into it.
Yeah, listen, this is the most difficult week of the year. And I would tell people, certainly myself, I will not be going heavy on the bankroll this week. I'll be saving most of it for next week when we get into, Dusty, I'm so excited for next week. Super wild card week. 6 games, including a Monday nighter.
It's going to be great.
Awesome. It's going to be awesome. But, listen, we had to get 3 picks done up. So I've kind of settled on these 3. I am going to take the Cleveland Browns at home against the Cincinnati Bengals. And this has nothing to do with the Bengals-Chiefs game last week. By the way, the one game all season long that was most affected by penalties. By the numbers. Anyways, Joe Burrow, an absolute stud. The show that he and Jamar Chase put on was unbelievable. Bottom line is, those guys don't even need to suit up this week. Joe Burrow's not going to play. They'll get him rested. Not too sure what Zach Taylor's going to do with the rest of his players, but I would be shocked if any of the big guys are out there for Cincinnati. And for Cleveland, without Baker Mayfield, I think Kevin Stefanski, they'll want to put on a strong performance in front of their home crowd, get a good feeling going into the offseason with huge questions as to where they go forward, especially at the quarterback position. So no Baker and no stars for Cincinnati. I don't think there's a lot of incentive for Cincinnati to really play out. And I think Cleveland will try and get it done in front of their home fans. So I don't mind the 6 points. I think they win by a touchdown at least. I like the Browns to start things off. This next one is maybe a little bit of a pick on, just the momentum of this team. The Jets gave the Tampa Bay Buccaneers all they could handle last week. And
yes, they did.
Their season is over. But Robert Saleh and this team, I think, is now really playing for next year. And I think they've seen in the last sort of few games that, there are some things that they can sort of be building on. The Bills, for their part, are in this game just not wanting to get hurt and wanting to win the game. I mean, part of the reason why I jumped on this at plus 16 is even if the Bills this year have been amazing at beating the living daylights out of teams worse than them, with the exception of that bizarre loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars 9-6 earlier in the season. Usually the Bills, when they've been playing the also-rans, have pounded them. But again, it's all about the playoffs right now. I mean, how much does Josh Allen play in this game? And even if they're up by 25 points in the second half, I think you probably put the backups in, and there's a wide open door for a backdoor cover, because I think the Jets will play the full 60 minutes and try and get the most out of this game with their young quarterback. So with just such a monster number in a divisional game and not a huge incentive for the Bills really to put the boots to the Jets, I'm going to take the 16 points on the road with New York. And then my final pick, this is an interesting one, Carolina at Tampa Bay. Carolina is kind of a similar team with the Jets right now that's playing for next year. They really don't have anything on the line, although someone like Sam Darnold has a lot to prove that, maybe he should be in the mix for this team or another team going forward. And man, I mean, Tampa's got some serious issues. I know we haven't yet got into the Antonio Brown segment over the course of this week. I mean, shit. Just since we did last week's lock shop, think of all the things that's happened with Antonio Brown. Basically leaves the game, quits, gets cut, however you want to call it, does the victory lap, takes his shirt off, chucks it into the crowd, ditches. Apparently he had the toilet licking girl from Instagram in his room the night before, breaking the NFL rules. And then he basically accuses Bruce Arians of lying, cutting him because he wouldn't go in playing injured. And now apparently he's doing a podcast today with the Full Send guys. That should be interesting. So it's an absolute circus with him. The Bucks are going to be better as a team moving on from Antonio Brown. I mean, as far as just the atmosphere. But man, I mean, with Mike Evans sort of nicked up, Chris Godwin out for the season, Antonio Brown now out, Gronk kind of in and out. They just simply don't have the weapons right now. So listen, I think that they just try and survive this game. And I'm not sure that they have the weapons right now to be laying a big number against a division rival and Matt Rule, who's going to probably pull out the stops and do what they can to win this football game. I don't think Carolina is going to win it. But put it this way, with the state that the Bucks are in right now, not to mention everything that they were dealing with this week, especially Bruce Arians and the coaching staff, I'm not sure what we're going to see from Tampa this week. So I certainly wouldn't feel comfortable laying a big number with them. I'm going to take the Panthers at plus 8.5. You're getting more than a 2-point converted touchdown at it. I think there's some good value on it. And I think they'll, like the Jets, play that full 60 minutes and try and finish up this season strong for their head coach, who certainly will be there coming up next year. And as far as what we see from the Buccaneers, I mean, it'll be important next week when we're talking about that first round of the playoffs. But for a team that looked like a prohibitive NFC favorite earlier this year, I don't know about where they're at right now. I mean, I think they are sort of middle of the pack with the receivers that they've lost. And then, of course, the fiasco that happened with AB. So I'll lay the points with Cleveland at -6, and I'm going to take a couple big numbers. Jets plus 16 and the Panthers plus 8.5 against Tampa Bay.
Before I get to my best bets, what's this toilet licking girl? Did I miss this? What is this?
Yeah. There is this girl. She's some girl on Instagram that at the beginning of the pandemic did some ridiculous stunt on Twitter where she licked a toilet. And of course, it kind of blew up, and when everything, when people like, who is this girl? And she's hot. I mean, obviously, it was just to get people, to her site. She's done another couple of ridiculous publicity stunt things beforehand, and AB slid into her DMs and got her over to the hotel, breaking NFL protocol the night before the game. And of course, her being a shall we say, someone that likes the publicity, decided to release all of the DMs from Antonio Brown. So, you want to Google that one, folks, have at her. Check TMZ. I'm sure they're all over it right now.
So once again, more on Antonio Brown. Google toilet licking girl. Next week on the Lock Shop, to gain notoriety, I eat a piece of shit. right on the podcast. Like, oh my God. All right. Well, let's get into my best bets. Going three places. I'm going with. I'm excited for this Chargers Raiders game. And you know what? The Chargers have to be one of the biggest teases in the National Football League. I mean, they look great. They look awful. They look great. They look awful. I'm gonna side with Justin Herbert looking great one last time. They beat the Raiders 28-14 in the other meeting this season. So I'm gonna go with the Chargers. I mean, the winner of this game gets in, right? It's that simple. Although, what else did I see? I thought I saw a scenario where if the Colts lose to the Jags, Chargers and Raiders tie, they're both in, which would sure be greasy.
Can you imagine somehow the Colts losing and then, it's 24-all going to OT, and it just, how like in the World Cup sometimes, in that third game where the two teams know they just tie and they basically just kick it back and forth and do nothing. We could have the NFL version of that. Highly doubt that's going to happen, but you would see the most conservative play calling in the history of NFL overtime if that did happen. That being said, I don't know if the Jags are going to all of a sudden turn into a legit football team and knock the Colts out of the playoffs this weekend. Don't hold your breath on that.
I'd be pretty stunned actually if that happens. So yes, I will be on the Chargers. It's gonna be a tight game. The 3 makes me a little bit nervous, but I'm gonna hop on the Chargers to get the job done against the Raiders. The Seahawks last week, they look great against the Detroit Lions, and I know the Arizona Cardinals. They've lost 4 in a row at home. I mean, do you lose 5 in a row at home, limping into the playoffs? I don't think that's gonna happen. Seattle. Just lay this out here for you. Seattle, in their last 9 games, they do have 4 wins. They beat the Lions, they beat the Texans, they beat the Jags, and then they did get by the Niners. But outside of that, I mean, they lost to the Bears 2 weeks ago. I know J.J. Watt has been activated. He's not playing. He's going to be back for the playoffs. So that's certainly going to help the Cardinals. But I watched what Seattle did last week against my Lions, and I don't care. They could have put up 80 on the Lions. Seattle's not a good football team. I think the Cardinals have to take this game very seriously, trying to get themselves on track here. So Cardinals minus 6.5 at home. And then look, Baltimore-Pittsburgh is going to be a 3-point game. One way or the other, it's going to be a 3-point game. Lamar's already been ruled out. Saw that came down today, so there's no chance of him coming back here. They played 2-3 weeks ago. It came down to 1 point. They went for it at the end of the game, didn't get it. This is gonna be a close game. I'll take Pittsburgh plus 4.5 on the road in this one. So Chargers minus 3, Cardinals minus 6.5, Pittsburgh plus 4.5 on the road against Baltimore, and that'll do it for our best bets for the week. Let's dive into the anything to add, Huss?
Well, yes, I did. I did find the article on this from our guy Robert Littell at Black Sports Online, BSO, maybe the best follow on Twitter. Here's the headline: Toilet licking IG model Ava Louise claims Antonio Brown didn't want to have sex, but just wanted to talk about NFL hypocrisy about COVID and helping her with her OnlyFans career. She repays him by going on media tour and calling him 32nd brother. Nothing like that. The headlines of BSO it's art, it's performance pieces. Follow just for the headlines, but there you go. There's your update on Antonio Brown, Ava Louise. The one thing I'll say about this game, about your picks, the game this week is that Sunday nighter between the Chargers and the Raiders. And
yeah,
I wanted to get on that game too. But, man, both of those teams are hard to trust. I mean, ever since the Chargers lost to the Texans, the way they did, giving up 41 points in a game they absolutely had to have, I really don't know what to expect from this team. And then the Raiders, for their part, they put together some pretty impressive wins. I mean, talent-wise, there's so many things that just scream Chargers to me. But I didn't put them in the picks just because I don't know if I can trust them. I tell you what, I hope it's a close game. Certainly, as a Chiefs fan that will likely play this team, assuming that the Chiefs finish in the 2 seed, they'll be getting the winner of this game. The Chargers concern me way more than the Raiders do. But I'm listen, I'm looking forward to seeing the game. I didn't have a strong lean on it. I think it'll be close, but I like the picks. And as far as Pittsburgh, Baltimore, very interested to see what happens with this game, how much Ben plays, if he does at all, or was last Monday in the big win over the Cleveland Browns, kind of the final swan song for Ben Roethlisberger as an NFL quarterback. It's slim pickings right now. It'll be interesting to see what we come up with our 5 CIRCA picks right now, because this is very difficult.
Chris Abbott will join us shortly. We've got our partner parlay. It's been boosted up to 435, so plus 435. I'll start just because I'm still on that Raiders-Chargers game. Like you said, I mean, it's a game everybody's going to be watching. I don't think we're going to be in for a defensive battle between these two teams. So I've adjusted the total. I brought it down to 44.5. Have had some success doing this on the partner parlay. Gets the number to minus 196, which I'd only ever put into a parlay. So yes, I'm on the Chargers, Raiders to at least combine for 45, 25-20. I see more like a 30-27-ish game here between these two teams. So I feel pretty comfortable with the over 44.5. Huss, where are you going in the parlay?
Well, you know what? It's funny, and I love the number that Chris has boosted this up to, because this sort of feels like, my Raiders pick a couple weeks ago where it wasn't really a big number. We didn't adjust. I made a slight adjustment to this one and have taken Atlanta from plus 3.5 to plus 4.5. They're at home against the Saints, and the Saints, of course, need to win this game. If the Rams beat the Niners and the Saints beat the Falcons, the Saints are in and the Niners are out. So, listen, there's a lot to play for New Orleans. That being said, this is a divisional game. Atlanta always plays the New Orleans Saints really tight. The Atlanta Falcons won in New Orleans earlier this year against a team that was in better shape right now than the Saints are coming into this football game. So I kind of think, much like we talked about earlier with the Jets and with Carolina sort of playing for next year, I think Arthur Smith in his first year as head coach of Atlanta would really like to see this team, finish strong and compete for a full 60 minutes with the Saints. When it comes down to it, the Saints defense is really good, but I mean, Matt Ryan and Atlanta, they'll score some points. And I just think this is going to be a really, really tight game. It wouldn't surprise me if Atlanta won this game. And you see it every year when you go down to the last week of the season. There are these teams that need to win games and they're favorites, and some of them don't win. To me, this is the game that, is iffy for New Orleans even to win. Anyways, I think it's going to be close. The line right now is 3.5. I just find that between 3.5 to 4.5 is such a significant move when it comes to, that one score game. Figured I'd get the extra point. It's still only minus 123 for Atlanta plus 4.5. So, I like this one. I kind of had to, bounced around a few different ideas. But I really do think that Atlanta will finish strong at home against a team they always give a lot of problems to. This is not going to be a cakewalk for the Saints. I don't think the Saints will cakewalk anyone right now with their quarterback situation, to be honest with you. So I love the fact we're getting a home dog in a divisional game plus 4.5 at a pretty nice number of minus 123.
All right, so there's the first two legs of our 3-game boosted partner parlay. A couple of adjustments. Haas getting the Falcons to plus 4.5 at minus 123. I'm moving that total in the Chargers Raiders over 44.5 at minus 196. Chris Abbott from CoolBet's going to join us. And now, just quickly before we bring him in, yesterday he was on 2 guys and a goalie with me, and I think I saw 1 bottle over his shoulder. Today there's like 6. So I don't know what you got up to, or is that just where you keep the booze, Chris Abbott? What's going on here?
There's not a lot of places to keep the booze in a downtown Toronto condo, so I keep it next to the toaster. Yeah.
Slice of toast, shot of vodka. The good morning to get you going.
Yeah, it's the Russian dream. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's just where I keep the booze. I don't have like the fancy bookshelf like everyone else has on these calls. I just got the booze, and that's legit the collection. There's like a half-strength bottle of red, 1 bottle of Kraken nearly done, so I got the reserve behind it.
Love
there.
Kraken.
There's some Kettle One vodka, and my dad left a bottle of Captain Morgan Dark from the summer that I've yet to get into. But
that's the old in case of emergency break glass and everything else is when everything else is done. And I guess you kind of got to keep that stuff close at hand, because it's not like you're going to be getting much out on the town these days in downtown TO.
Yeah, I'm surprised we're allowed to still go to the liquor store. But again, yeah, it's I don't know. The goalposts have moved so many times. The goalposts don't move this much in a minor hockey arena when they clean the ice every hour and they got to move the nets. That's how much the goalposts have moved there. So yeah, it's wild. But hey, listen, maybe we're on the other side of it. I don't know. Yeah, like I said,
that like 3 times.
So here's where I'm at with this, and I won't go on too long about it. But unless there's like absolute human disaster here in the next month, which I hope there's not. But if there isn't and nothing changes, I'm out. It's Texas. It's Florida. I tweeted open
Vegas.
carries.
Go to
Carries. Yeah, an open carry state with a Republican governor. I'm out of here. I can't do it anymore. Can't do it anymore.
We're slowly turning everyone into right-wing hawks. One restriction at the time.
So I know there's something wrong because I'm seeing articles from like right-wing media outlets, not right-wing, but like more conservative media outlets in Canada. And I'm like, yeah, this guy knows what he's talking about.
What is happening?
Oh man!
You never thought that's how it would end. Hey, you never thought that's what
wild.
He would do to us.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Trump had it all along. It was the long game.
Yeah.
Smartest man in the history of the world.
I'll say that if you are packing up and going down to Vegas, Texas, and he goes, let me know. I'll grab the computer. We can at least have 2 of us in the same place doing a lock shop, and I can follow the Jets not playing from anywhere for Winnipeg Sports Talk, so it doesn't really matter.
That's frustrating too. Going back to the SaskTel Center, I heard, Hustler. Move back into suite 109. We'll have to hit up the Cooey family again, see if we can get back in there.
That was the first thing I thought. I'm like, oh, Saskatoon. We spent a good run there a few weeks ago back to watching all the curling. Yeah, I could see going there for a bit. I don't know. Listen, people lost it here. I mean, things are so similar between Saskatchewan and Manitoba, as much as we'd like to give them a hard time about their football team, and it's a great ride. Like the concept that could be possible across the Saskatchewan-Manitoba border, but not happening here, didn't go over well with a lot of people. Listen, nothing's going over well with anybody right now. There's a lot of people I see online that are just like nuclear complaining. But the thing is, I'm not sure what they're complaining. Like they're either the restrictions are too much or lock everything down. I don't know. It's just a lot of venting right now. So anyways, you know what would make us, what would maybe make all of this better? Winning another partner parlay to finish off the regular season here on the Lock Shop.
Well, yeah, and I'm going with your Chiefs. Brought it down inside 10, inside 9, as a matter of fact, at -8.5. This Broncos team is a long way from the team that looked at even half decent at the beginning of the year. Like they're Melvin Gordon's injured in and out. Is he playing? And when he's playing, do they use him enough? Drew Lock is definitely put him in an interception parlay this weekend. So, I mean, I look at this game kind of the way I look at, the Green Bay game as well, the Colts game. Like this could be 14-0 before it even really starts. And I say that in the Green Bay game with or without Aaron Rodgers. Sorry, Dusty. But
I was going to say the disrespect here. Come on. Have you not seen Tim Boyle as of late? Come on.
Oh, yeah. I saw him. I've seen him twice. The first time was passable. And then I bet on him last week. So, yeah.
Me too.
But, yeah, I honestly, fellas, like, and it's not good for business, but I don't recommend betting on this week. Like, I had a guy from Covers called me yesterday and was asking me about, week 18 and what does it mean for the book? And I said, people are going to bet it. But as a person who bets myself, like, I don't think it's smart to bet. Like, you throw in the regular end of season, who knows who's playing. You mix in a couple of COVID list guys. Like, we don't know. Nobody knows. You can't know. It's really, really hard.
Like Huss said, I'd rather save what I got for playoffs next week. Easier to get a read on those games. One more thing I just want to hit on before we dive into the CIRCA contest. You adjusted your pick. I adjusted my pick. Huss adjusted his pick for the parlay this week. I mean, back in the day when we were first betting, it was like, this is the number you get. This is the only number you get. You can't change it. I love adjusting things. I mean, I'm doing it all the time. Is that the way that everybody's going nowadays, Chris? Or do you see a lot of people just sort of just take the number that's given by the book and that's it?
No, most people want to move it around and parlay it and get to a number they feel comfortable with, especially on totals. I see it a lot on totals, less so with the spread sometimes, but on totals, people love to to go way under or way over, right? Yeah, I mean, and the demand is there. Like we're constantly asked for more options, and we've gotten more. There's more to come, but it's hard, from a bookmaker's perspective, to have all the different spreads there, because you need to have the technology that if the main total moves and the main money line moves, then everything's got to move correspondingly. So you need to have that process automated. We're getting we've gotten pretty good with it, and we're going to get more, but people don't think about that when they're like, well, give me a different number. And it's like, well, there's actually humans behind a lot of this. So it's it takes a whole lot of coordination to make it work. But yeah, to answer your question, I think especially in the NFL, because the markets by the time kickoff happens are so sharpened, then if you can get anything on either side that you feel remotely good about, then I think it's a pretty good idea.
Is the traditionally is the handle a lot lower for the final week of the regular season with playoffs the next week and with all the uncertainty that we just rolled out?
Yeah, this will be the most action we've ever taken on a week 18, I think.
Touche.
There we go.
No, I mean, yeah. Listen, I can't say people are still going to bet. I just think the variance is too great, and I think the people who are doing it recreationally probably still do it, but
just want to do it anyway.
Yeah. People who are betting real money probably just kind of sit this one out.
All right, well, let's dive into it. Circa Million Contest, final week here for us. We've laid out all of our best bets. We talked about it. I mean, we just laid it out again. It's not a great week to be going through these games. So, Chris, let's just throw it to you. What jumps off the page for you this week, if anything?
Well, the one that stands out to me is the Jags. Like, I don't care who's going out there against them. Like, that is a bad football team. And I got to feel like the reserves on most NFL squads are going to give them a game. So as long as the Colts play some starters, I actually don't care how big that spread is. Like I said, even if they only play their guys early on or whatever they need or don't need, then, I still think they're up 14-0 at the end of the first quarter. And then you go from there. So I can't, I couldn't lay it with the Jags. So I feel like betting against them is the only way to go. It's an absolute disaster there. Just saw their interviewing Kellen Moore tonight, though. That's interesting. I don't know why you'd want to go there into that disaster, but so be it. Yeah, and then I don't know. I think the Patriots -6 was something that stood out to me as well. I've seen arguments for the Dolphins, but I mean, Tua and that offense have not beaten a reasonable team, and the Patriots are a playoff team. And I don't have the exact number, but if you look into the number of playoff teams they've beaten this year, it's a pretty small number.
I'll say this about the Pats. I mean, I think they sort of feel like they owe Miami one for the way they fumbled that win away in week 1 of the regular season. Sort of funny these two teams played in week 1 and week 18. And, with everything happening, I mean, they still do have an outside chance of winning the division. It's a game that they will certainly want to play. So I'm good with I'm good with that New England game. The Colts game, that Jags number is just so high. I mean, much like I was saying before, sort of why I took the 16 points with the Jets against the Bills. There's a good chance once the game is in the bag, the guys end up resting, and you could have some major backdoor opportunities. So of those two, I probably like the Pats the best one. The two games, I mean, it would be good to get on the card. The two games that really do matter. Chargers, Raiders. I mean, I'd sort of said I didn't have a strong lean either side, but Dusty's got the Chargers in on the best bets. I'd certainly be able to roll with that. And I'll throw at the Niners. Niners +4. They need to win to avoid being vulnerable to a Saints win, knocking them out of the playoffs. And the bottom line is Kyle Shanahan has abused Sean McVay. I think it's 5 games in a row. They pounded them 31-10 earlier this year in a game where the Rams were a big favorite. I don't think that the Rams run away with this game, considering the circumstances, what's going on right now, and getting 4 points with the Niners, considering the success they've had and what's on the line. I'm in on that Niners if you guys like them getting the 4 points in that game.
For me, there's not a single California-based team that I can trust right now. But, yeah, I mean, all signs do point to this being a good number for the 49ers. You just laid it out. The Chargers-Raiders game, I'm not sure. I mean, in theory, the Chargers should run away with it, but the Raiders keep hanging around, and the Chargers defense is so susceptible to a big play, multiple big plays, that I don't know. But I will sign off on the 49ers. And like I said, there's nothing out there that I'm really excited about. So I'm fine with whatever.
I like the Niners and Pats from the games that we've kind of discussed so far, and we can put those two in, and maybe I will. I want your guys' thoughts on the Cowboys 4.5 against the Eagles. A game, I was reading a little bit of a preview on this game earlier today, and Cowboys still have something to play for, whereas the Eagles are kind of locked in to where they're at right now. So if you can believe it, in a situation where these two teams are at right now, Dallas needs and wants this game a little bit more than the Eagles do, and they're the better team on top of it. So that might be a reason that I would look at Dallas to maybe run away with this one against Philly. But where do you guys come out on that game? Any thoughts?
Not that I trust anything to do with Mike McCarthy, but I did hear him speak today that they are approaching this game like it's a game that they need to win. They will be playing their guys. They'll be playing to win. So considering that being there and the fact that the Eagles are locked in, they'll be playing on the road in the first week and the seeding won't really change. I think the circumstance tells us that the Cowboys probably the play in this pick. Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, listen, as much as the Cowboys seem to let me down a lot, I think they've only lost like 2 games against the spread all year, which I guess they were the ones I bet on them. But I just feel like, I don't know, I just always feel nervous when I'm watching a Cowboys game that they're going to get it done. And they're very Jekyll and Hyde. But I'm okay with it. Like, I mean, they are the best spread team in the league. They do have a dynamic offense. And Philadelphia, you know, they tend to win games where they grind it out a little bit more, play a lot of runs. So I'm okay with it. Yeah.
Okay, what else we got? Hustler, did you say anything about the Chiefs? They're only 10 in the contest.
You know what? Like, it's just a big number. I mean, I certainly think the Chiefs go in. The only thing that it does concern me a little bit is, we could be getting into that backdoor situation where they've got a comfortable lead in the fourth quarter. They pull some guys out, and then, whatever, Denver goes in and gets a touchdown and makes it close. I mean, I certainly think that they will be looking to round into form, ready for the playoffs. Still not very pleased with the way they played defensively last week. And I don't think Denver has much of an offense to begin with, especially with Drew Lock at quarterback. So I'd be fine with putting the Chiefs on the ticket. I is sort of claiming or pleading that he deserves another year as head coach. We'll find out Monday whether he's going to get that or not. But I think certainly the Chiefs are the pick. I mean, the other one, Chris, what did you think about the Falcons? I've got the Falcons. I think this is going to be a very close game. They've had good success against the Saints before. They are at home, finishing up a season with a first-year head coach that certainly I think wants to, build up going into the season. And, as good as the Saints defense has been at times, I do think Atlanta is going to score some points at home. They put up 27 on the Saints earlier this year in their win in New Orleans. And I got to tell you, I mean, just without Jameis Winston, I've never been sold on this New Orleans offense. So even though they could get win, I don't think they run away with this game at all. And on the road, with the stakes are what they are, I actually really like Atlanta to cover this number.
Sure. Okay. I mean, I have no real opinion either way. Like, I feel like New Orleans is the better team. I feel like Atlanta leaves a lot on the table a lot of the time, but I mean, it's fine. Is Kyle Pitts playing? There was some questions about whether he'd be available this week, I think, as well, which is something that I wonder about. But I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it.
Either that or Cleveland. I guess Cleveland's the other one. Since he's going to be resting everyone, Cleveland finishing at home, Baker Mayfield's not playing. I think that actually might be a boost to the Cleveland offense. You don't have to lay the full touchdown. And I mean, to me, Cincinnati's already thinking about next week. I mean, they've got the very enviable position of being able to go and not play any of their guys against their arch rival and wish them well into the offseason, thinking about a playoff game at home the following week.
Well, there's that, or there's the Steelers +6 for me as well. Tyler Huntley is just announced as a quarterback. I mean, I think that was expected anyway with this line, but I see that being a very low event, close game as well.
I took the Steelers at +4.5 in our best bets because I think it's going to be a 3-point game either way. I didn't even realize it was 6 in the contest.
I can roll, and just considering the number, I mean, considering what we just talked about, what's it up at Coolbet right now? We probably got the
down
best
right
value
now.
on that.
Yeah, it's down. It's
Because Lamar was
it's
just
only gonna-
officially
it's
ruled
only-
out, right? So
Yeah, it's only
Yeah.
going to get shorter. It's only going to get
Yeah.
shorter. Yeah, but I mean, again, guys, like, there's nothing that I'm like, oh, we got to take this.
yeah,
this
it's
week.
a tough week. I mean,
Even,
here's the lesson:
you know,
be patient this week. If you
yeah,
need,
I'd love,
save it.
I'd love to say the Cardinals are going to cover against the Seahawks, but I just don't know anymore. You know, so listen, I'm fine with whatever. I mean, I think we're statistically eliminated anyway, so let's not waste too many of our brain cells on this.
Let's just get some wins. Hopefully, we can have the top entry amongst the 3 cool bet teams. That would be one thing that I think we'd all like to have. And speaking of competitions, we got to figure something out for next week. I think we should do a little internal lock shop head-to-head playoff pick'em contest to finish up the season. We've done this all year long. I think we're going to have to pick every playoff game. So maybe we think of either a little fun wager between us, or maybe some way listeners can get in and maybe back one of the other guys for something from CoolBet. I'll throw that out to the masses and to you guys right now, and we can figure something out for next week. It should be fun.
You just tell me what you want, and we'll make it happen.
I like that idea. That's a good idea. Chris, enjoy all the football this weekend, buddy.
All right, guys, take care and have a great weekend as well.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay.
There you go. That's Chris Abbott from CoolBet Canada. Yeah, it'd be nice to have a little contest for the postseason next week, right? That's not a bad idea.
No, certainly with fun. Listen, we are going to be betting all of the games anyways. And there's always the dream of running the table against the spread in the playoffs, which could very well be done by 3 p.m. in week 1, the first Saturday. Who knows? But anyways, we should do something like that. Have a little fun internal competition that people can play along with us as well. But we'll do that for next week. And of course, I'm fired up for next week, because as much as all this BS we're dealing with right now and all these hockey games we're missing, we are going to have the first PGA tournament, the first full field PGA tournament of the year. The new season is upon us. Century Tournament of Champions happening right now. We've got the Australian Open. Oh, and by the way, Dusty, I should mention this to you. I talked about this on Winnipeg Sports Talk, but I saw Pat Gregoire had tweeted out once Novak Djokovic said, all right, I'm good to go. I'm on my way to Australia. It's all happening. And I said, okay, great. Here are the Australian odds board. So I got in there and made a couple picks. I saw Shapovalov was at 69-1. I'm like, oh, that sounds good. Tweet. And then like 5 hours later, no, you're not getting into Australia. So obviously everything's off the board. Now the odds are back up without Djokovic. And if you got in while Djokovic was in the field, you want to talk about value. Everything is like 10, 20 less than it was before, because he's such a heavy favorite when he's in the field. What a wild saga that's been, huh?
That's been crazy. I know you got Winnipeg Sports Talk coming up right away, but you did say there was a couple NFL futures bets that you liked. So let's just plug those quickly before we wrap up.
Yeah. You know what, folks? If you go to CoolBet, you'll see all the lines for the games. And then you've got the AFC, NFC line for the Super Bowl. Underneath there are NFL season bets. And, you can right now bet the AFC, NFC winners. Chiefs and Packers are the favorites right now. Chiefs at plus 225, Packers at plus 170. An interesting bet. If you think that the Niners will beat the Rams and Arizona will win on the weekend, that would make Arizona win in the NFC West. That's plus 240 right now. The offensive rookie of the year is interesting. A complete flip-flop after Jamar Chase's massive game last week. He's now minus 357. Mac Jones is plus 190. I think Mac Jones was like minus 300 or minus 250 going into last week's games. But the one that really stood out to me, it's the bottom option. It's the comeback player of the year. There's only 2 players listed. It's Dak Prescott, who's at minus 132, and Joe Burrow at even money at plus 100. And considering what's happened to the Jamar Chase number, I mean, Joe Burrow's season has been phenomenal. He's set records. He's got more passing yards than Aaron Rodgers, who everyone's just going to give the MVP award to. And Dak Prescott's sort of been up and down. Certainly has, I think most people would agree, a much better team. So I think there's great value. I jumped on Joe Burrow at plus 100. So if you are interested in that, I think there is some value at Joey B. But there's a whole bunch of odds out there right now. Just to give you an idea, Packers are the Super Bowl favorite at plus 380. Chiefs are at 5-1. Bills plus 750. and then the Buccaneers and Rams at plus 850. Then you get to the Titans. Titans, interesting. Not a lot of respect for Tennessee. 12-1 right now on a team that, in all likelihood, will have the bye and home field through the playoffs.
And getting Derrick Henry back.
Absolutely. And you get down to the Cowboys at 14, New England 16. So all the odds are there right now. But didn't want to mention that Joe Burrow Comeback Player of the Year award. I was somewhat surprised that he's not the favorite right now, considering what we saw last week and his body of work. I mean, he's going to be chilling this week, getting ready for a home playoff game for the Bengals of all teams.
I'm going to hop on it right now before we move that thing. So let's get on it right now. Joe Burrow plus money. I like that. Huss, what's coming up at Winnipeg Sports Talk?
Well, you know what? We'll talk about the game last night. We'll head into the weekend. Kenny Weave's going to join us. Brandon Rowicki will join us. So lots on the Jets heading into another week off. We'll certainly get to the story about the potential or the, discussing with fans the potential of maybe moving some of these games if they can't play them here. And then we'll get ready for the weekend. The legend, Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, longtime voice of the Chargers, will join us to tee up the Chargers-Raiders game and get a little bit more from the Hacksaw's NFL notebook. It should be fun.
Have a good show. Have a good weekend, buddy. And we'll be talking NFL playoffs next week, my man.
You got it. Text you on Sunday. Let's get it.
Sounds good. Talk to you later. For Hustler, I'm Nielsen, presenting sponsor of the Lock Shop, CoolBet. Sign up for an account today at coolbet.com. And if you've been watching on the live stream, subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Just search the Lock Shop on all your podcasting platforms. We'll talk next week.